This episode of House of the Dragon was pretty good. It was kind of more of a table-setting episode. After the insane drama of the last two, it's like they're giving us a breather and saying, now people are just going to go some places, and some important conversations are going to happen. But once again, it did that astoundingly well. Harrenhal looked spectacular. This world in general looks spectacular. They're really keeping the Game of Thrones assets and improving upon them. And it was dramatically interesting. At the start of this season, after the twist in the first episode, there was, I think, a small element of the fandom that was annoyed at the differences from the original books. But allegedly, the showrunner said that, in alignment with part of what the books already said, since the accounts in the book are prejudiced and, in fact, for the most part, coming from one hard-to-trust source, and subject to all the flaws of real-life recordings of history, it's not meant to be accurate, in addition to being its own universe, because Game of Thrones is very different from the books when it comes down to it. House of the Dragon is much more intimate with the characters' lives and what we're seeing and understanding their motivations. Sometimes they're very different, like characters are outright different, but sometimes it's smaller things. I'm very intrigued by what's coming up with Criston Cole. I think this season is going to be his season, and they haven't gone to war as much as I thought they would so far. I thought after the end of Season 1 and then the very start of Season 2, it was just going to be non-stop battle, but they seem to be pulling it back and kind of dragging out the escalation. And I think what's going to happen is that Criston Cole will be a key part of it escalating to a new level that they can't go back from. And that will probably happen in the latter half of this season. But we'll see. I know right now Criston Cole isn't the most popular in the fandom, but I find him very interesting and very sympathetic. It's easy to look at him being a jerk and being a knight in shining armor, literally, and say, what a D-bag. But when you look at his positioning from his point of view, and the way some other people see him, we see he's comparatively low status, and he doesn't have a lot of options, and he hasn't watched Game of Thrones like the audience has, and he hasn't read the books, so he really doesn't know whether he's going to be okay or not, and he feels like he's doing what he has to do at this point to just avoid losing everything in his life. Is he a hypocrite? Sure, in ways. But we saw in the first season, he legitimately thought they were going to cut his dick off for having sex with a royal. Look, if you thought someone was going to cut your genitals off, or that if anyone found out about it, there would be a lot of people wanting it to happen, you'd be a little more tense too. But I'll talk more about that later. For now, we've just got to see what happens next.